Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today is Laura Bayonas. She's an actress, a writer, and a filmmaker whose career has taken her from childhood roles in Spain to decades of work in the film and television on both sides of the Atlantic. She grew up. Hi, Laura. That's the beautiful laugh of Laura Bayonas here. She'll join me in just a moment. She grew up in a creative household in Madrid and became part of Spain's vibrant cultural scene in the 80s. La Movida. Eventually, she moved to Los Angeles in the 90s to continue building her career. And along the way, Laura has written a best selling novel and an award winning screenplay. She's produced her own projects and had her latest short film, Farewell, which she wrote, directed, and produced and acted in last year, 2024, qualified for the Oscars. Laura Bayonas is a founding member of Spain's Film Academy, and she's also an active member of SAG-AFTRA in the US. She brings a deeply personal perspective shaped by life experience and her lifelong connection to storytelling. Welcome, Laura, to the Jeremiah Show.
Hi, Jeremiah. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited to have this chat, this conversation in my, questionable English. Um,
Not at all. We spoke, I'm going to give a little behind the scenes here. We spoke, I think, was it on Thanksgiving or maybe it was the day after Thanksgiving? And I was out in Palm Springs and you just had this wonderful uh, family and friends Thanksgiving dinner. And you so generously said to me, next year, my Thanksgiving dinner was not good in Palm Springs, unfortunately. And you said, you so kindly offered me, without really knowing me, to come to your Thanksgiving dinner next year. So I hope you didn't forget that because I might hold you to that.
I haven't forget. I haven't forget. Actually, it was a group of people, filmmakers in all ranges, writers, directors. People in crew, children. It was a lot of fun, and the food was actually pretty good. So you are invited next year, Jeremiah, for sure. Well, I
Well,
haven't talked to the host, so I totally,
that's okay.
I've invited you, but
I
I'm sure
won't
she will
hold
be
you.
fine.
I won't hold you to it. What I loved about the description was what you just did there again. You said it's filmmakers, writers, artists, kids,
Mhm.
families. That just brings to life in my mind what that experience looked like. I could just hear the music. I could hear the laughter. I could hear great conversations. And so I love the description of your Thanksgiving. Anyway, that was the first time that we talked in person, and you were so warm and funny. We were on the phone, I think, about a half an hour, but I just really enjoyed it. And so I am so happy to see you here today. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since we last spoke, and I've just been looking forward to this. So thank you for being here, Laura. You were born in Madrid, Spain, which conjures up a whole nother set of images for me. I think of your childhood as being golden for some reason and light and lit well and full. You were brought up in a filmmaking and an artistic family, and your mother, Lola Salvador Maldonado, was a noted Spanish screenwriter and producer, and your father, Jose Luis Bayonas, was a TV script writer, and he was also a classical pianist, a talent which you inherited. You studied piano for, I think, about 10 years, and then you decided to pursue acting more full time and trained at the Piemonte School of Film and Art in Madrid with John Strasberg, and later in LA with Joe Police. So, growing up with two creative entertainment business parents, what are your memories like of your childhood home?
Um, Well, basically, when you're surrounded by intellectuals, musicians, but basically by intellectuals, you mainly feel like an idiot, like a total idiot. Like you never achieve, you will never, you will
Really?
never reach that. They know everything. They have read everything. They know history. They know literature. They have read Schopenhauer. They have read, they know everything. So you answering your question, you feel like an idiot.
Hmm.
And then they wanted me to be, you know, a musician. They wanted to be a writer, because they said that I have this good ear, a good pitch for music, and they wanted me to do everything except to be an actor. So I just did exactly the, you know, the opposite of what they want me to do. I wrote I wrote a little novel to make them happy, right? You know, I, and I talk
And then
about that
you
in the
snuck
book,
off
you know.
and went acting.
I went into acting with which actually they were right. It's a very, very incredibly difficult craft, and more than people think, you know. And it's very complicated. And back in the day in Spain, imagine, you know, I mean, if you didn't come nude in the cover of the interview magazine, you know, naked, you know, you're not an actor, so, or an actress. So there were
Mhm.
difficult time, particularly for a woman. But I really like acting. I really like to be in front of a camera. Or maybe I'm just a masochist. I just want to do exactly the contrary that what my parents want me to do. But no, I think it's a privilege, honestly, coming from people. They have so much knowledge, and teach you how to be free and to do whatever you want to be free, you know. And my dad wasn't around. My dad, you know, had went to Australia. I met him only 3 times in my life. And but then I have a kind of a wonderful stepdad who was a huge film producer, and I learned so much. I learned so much from them, and I keep learning. And I learn from them that learning is the most fun thing in the world. You know, being curious and being investigating, researching, reading, going to concerts, learning how to sing opera, learning how to play piano, learning how to learning. I think it's the most and knowledge. I think it's what finally sets us free.
So did the house feel free? Were your parents free? They freed you, although they wanted you to go in one direction. They sound like they were also very supportive and gave you permission to be and to feel and think and read and discover on your own.
Well, yeah, but back in the day, you know, back in the day in Spain, you know, I grew up in a country that was a military dictatorship, you know, under Franco, right? And there
Hmm.
was it was difficult for them. It was difficult, particularly for my mom, who make these films, and that sometimes we have to go to school with the military and the police, escorted by police, because she did a film that they want to put her in jail. So it was
Wow.
there were difficult times, considering that, you know. So you know, Franco, you know, died after 40 years of dictatorship, you know, because he was like the Mussolini and Hitler. He was actually helped by Hitler and Mussolini during the civil war in 36 to 39, and he stayed in power for 40 years in Spain. So,
Right.
and it was, I remember I was like 13 years old when he finally died, and my mom waking us up with a bottle of champagne. You know, he died. You know, he finally he's out. And and there was these times in Spain that they were hard, right? But we were very unaware. You know, we didn't, you know, my parents were not religious whatsoever. My mom was not a religious person. So, you know, the curse of a Catholic Church in Spain. So I never lived that. I went to a private school. It was very open and very wonderful. And I studied philosophy in high school, and I read Schopenhauer and Plato, and played guitar in school, and went to England. So I didn't. But then you reach 18 years old, and you say, "Ooh, this country. What is this? What is this place?" Right? And they yeah. I feel privileged that they raised us in that way, but at the same time I feel pretty away from what the country was when I was 18.
Mm.
And then I took off, you know, I took off from home, and I started very young doing television, music shows in TV, and then acting and films and TV, and nonstop doing
Like,
millions of things. And
were you 4 years old when you got your first commercial? Is that right?
yeah,
Wow.
yes.
And then I think you were 7 when you had your first role in a short film, which I watched today on YouTube, by the way.
You did? Oh
And
my God, did you
yeah,
find it? You know,
I
I've been
found it
trying
on YouTube.
to send it to me, because
Uh,
I've been trying to find it and I couldn't
it was
find it.
so it was so cute. I don't. That's not the right word, but seeing you in your face, because I know what you look like as a child. I mean, it was, and was there was a number? Was there another family member in that film with you?
There was my sister,
Oh, your sister, because she looked like you,
1 year younger. Yeah, Cecilia.
Cecilia. And that was Correo de Guerra in 1972 on YouTube, a short film.
Maya, after the show, you have to send me the film. I need.
So what did you remember? You said you loved cameras and you loved that, but being so young and being on set in front of these cameras, in front of directors and crew, what was it like? Was that magical? Was it like playing make believe, an extension of your imagination, or was it this serious work
It was
for
actually
you?
fun. I didn't understand the story very well. These directors, they were kind of the new neo-realist Antonionis at the time, or
Hmm.
and I remember it was a very sweet, fun experience. We have to burn little houses, and we have to kind of follow
Yeah.
steps of somebody. It was fun. It was fun, and I followed directions. I remember the director telling me behind camera that I have to be still on camera, and I was laughing, and I said, "No, still, try not to laugh," and I was laughing. So he was actually directing us very good, and I remember it being a lot of fun. I was very upset with him, and I still I still know him, he's still a friend, and we joke about it. Then he was a critic, Augusto Martinez Torres, of El País, like kind of the New York Times of Spain of film. And I
Hmm.
said, "You never paid us. You say you're going to pay me, and you never paid me."
He still owes you.
No,
It's funny. Would
it was
the
very sweet man, and I have very good memories of all these little films. But I think, I don't know, they used us, I guess. Well, we have some actors, some kids here. Let's use them for these films, and I end up loving it. I end up really enjoying it.
I was going to say, if you look at it a different way, from a different perspective, he gave you a gift. He gave you the start of your career that
Uh-huh.
has lasted all these years and has created some really good work, some real art from you. So I was thinking about, when we sit in a theater, we're seeing that like a light projected on a flat surface, and basically, and the image of the actor in front of us, 30 feet, by 50 or 70 feet wide, is two-dimensional. But
Hmm. I think those
the
films,
image
they were probably shot in 16 millimeters. 16. I think
for
they were
that film,
shooting in
yeah,
16 for sure. And this is talking about film. And what a different experience to watch a film right in a big theater.
right,
And actually, and with right now is a Dolby 4K, 8K, and the theatrical experience so different. That what's going on right now. But we're going to be positive in this show. We're going to talk about negative things. But I wish people understand. I wish through your show to say that people. I heard something pretty. I feel very uncomfortable. Somebody said, "Well, theater is very expensive. You go to the movies, dude. $20. I mean, you go to see Taylor Swift. You go to the opera. You go to concerts. You go to, and film to watch it sitting down in a theater with that sound. That's the experience you're looking
yeah.
for. And I
I
hope
miss
people
that.
can see that,
I miss
right?
that. Yeah, I miss that. When I mentioned 50 by 70, I mean they don't shoot film like that anymore. Those were the big movies that when you went and sat in the theater, there was anticipation and excitement, and you were nervous about what you were about to see, and then the sound goes up, and it's like you've never heard before. Your ears
Uh-huh.
realize why they were put on your head. It's like sound that just explodes,
That's
and
all we had, right? We don't have internet. We don't have
no, we didn't have that. And
Instagram. We have all this crap. Sorry to say so, but it was just. I remember going to the theater and watching two movies. Two films for the price of for the
yeah,
price of one.
I
Like
remember.
they're, oh my god, like really devouring film. And I feel film is the literature of nowadays, and I hope it survived, because we're now in a moment that I think that we're in a cycle, that we feel very free, because we can express ourselves through social media, through everything. And we're talking the other day about this amazing philosopher, Bjorn Charles Han, that he said we're living probably the worst form of slavery in the history of the world. Very interesting opinion from me. I'm a very respected philosopher, and scientist, that that actually we don't, we are in a cycle that it's very, and even myself, I feel like with all this massive information in politics, in Instagram is toxic. It's like a drug. It's the worst addiction. And he said, I want to be free of all that. I want to just stop, put the reverse, and go back to, no, not go back because I'm older or we're older, is because this is going to collapse. The world is
Mhm.
going to collapse if this technology doesn't stop. That's my anxiety right now that I feel, you know. What do you think, Jeremiah?
I no, I agree with that feeling. You can feel that it's not, that it has a shelf life, that it cannot go on forever like this. And when I, this last past weekend, where all the mass shootings and we lost Rob Reiner, all this violence and everything that you turn to in the news is so depressing. But you can't. It just keeps coming at you. You can't escape it. It's all like you said on your phone. It's on your in your email. It pops up on your computer as news. It's on the news. It's so. I agree with that idea that philosopher that maybe we're more entrapped now than we've ever been, just by
Um,
our own doing.
I'm more worried about our youth, you know, the people, the future, that, you know, the people, you know, I was just voting for the college Emmys and watching the films that these kids, well, kids are like 18, 20, they're doing, and they're lost. I mean, I could see that youth are like, kind of like, I was watching these films and it feel like a 15-year-old films, very childish. And I think they feel totally boxed right now. They feel
Hmm.
totally that after the pandemic and or what happened to them. And there's a lot of young people, they cancel Instagram, they cancel social media. They said, let's stop this. Let's
Yeah.
absolutely stop this, you know?
That would be great if they rejected it. I think we need to reject it more, and go back to the theater and go back and sit around people and laugh with people and go, get scared with people, whatever it is. But that theater experience is something that we should not cut out, that should not be lost. It should come back. And I encourage everybody out there listening to that. Makes you feel good. Even if it's not the best movie in the world, you come out of a movie feeling better. You feel better when you're in that movie and experiencing
Mhm.
sound and light and the magic of movies and storytelling. So I was talking about the two-dimensional, but you bring in your characters this to life, a real three-dimensional feeling.
You know,
You
when I
can
was
come on.
younger, you know, I lost my son, you know, out of cancer after a very long battle with cancer for 20 years or 22 years. I wrote a film about him that hopefully is going to get into production very soon. But then, you know, I used to play when I was younger more like kind of a dark European young actress, and when, you know, when my son,
About that
yeah,
coming.
but you know, I was offered comedy and I wanted to do comedy and laughing, you know. And when I
Mhm.
did English Teacher, you know, the TV show for FX Networks, you know,
Oh,
that it was, this is one of the best materials I had in my hands ever, you know. I'm so lucky and so funny and such a talented team of savants and writers and directors, and Brian Jordan Alvarez, which I talk about him in the beginning of your show. You know, he's such a talented man, and I hope, you know, that show gets picked up again, because they cancel it. We don't know why it got canceled. And but if you guys have the opportunity to see at least the first two seasons, that would be wonderful, because laughter is very important, very important.
yeah. There's
Knowledge
two
is
seasons,
good,
right?
but laughter opens up your heart, your brain,
Why
everything.
aren't there more comedies? Comedy used to be, a majority of the movies that would come out, and I don't understand everything's so dark from that's being made right now, and the horror films are huge, and I yearn for comedy. I wish it would come back. But let me get back to this comparison I'm trying to make about you, uh, being 50 feet large up on screen there, and most of your life been on the big screen. You've been larger than life. You spent your life being larger than life, being projected two-dimensionally under, like I said, the 30 to 50-foot screen. Yet you're giving these three-dimensional emotional qualities to the characters that you played. So off screen, Laura, what
Hmm.
personality traits do you have that are unmistakably three-dimensional.
Oh my God.
Because you are larger than life in both and on screen and off. And I feel like in 3D, you would just be overwhelming. What are some of the qualities that you
Really, yeah, yeah, probably overwhelming. I'll be the writer, piano player, actor, and I don't know, but I'm not gonna be a scan to do artificial intelligence movies or with my voice or my body. I'm totally against it. I think that would be that would be a way
think?
to be tri-dimensional, right? But yeah, I probably have
How
a
do
lot
your
of person.
friends describe you? What do they love about you? Do you ever overhear how they describe you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think some people feel insecure about me. I have a lot of fears myself, I'm very afraid to be wrong, probably because I have a little nanny. We had a little nanny when we were kids, she was a little monster. So
Mhm.
we were kind of tortured, since we were like 4 to 17. So I'm always afraid of being wrong, which
Mhm.
I'm always trying to be right about everything, because I kind of recognize, when you suffer some sort of abuse as a kid, you don't want to show anybody that you're wrong about anything. So that was one of my biggest mistakes in life, is
Mhm.
not to recognize that I'm wrong about anything. So that's a bad thing. But finally, you reach certain age and you say, you know what, I think I've made a few mistakes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say messed
Don't
up. I
you
was
did
gonna
you
say
learn
fucked
from
up.
those mistakes? They always
Yes,
say to put a positive spin, people say, but you learn from those mistakes. Do you feel like if you didn't
yeah,
have those mistakes, would you be who you are now?
exactly. I think we have to recognize our failures and have the courage to recognize our failures and mistakes to be able to move forward. Because we're stuck. That's what happened with humans, right? Nobody's wrong. Everybody's defensive. Everybody has nothing wrong. Everybody, and no, I'm human. I'm a horrible thing like any other human being.
Mhm.
They call us rational animals, but our survival instinct it's stronger than us, and we messed up. I was going to say fucked up, but we fucked up a lot. We messed up a lot. We we mess things up, right? We constantly
It's
mess things up, and the example is how the world is going right now, and that is incredibly sad. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm pretty frustrated about. I don't. I think the way would be to kind of read your own unconscious actions in life, to see, oof, I'm reacting this way, and my actions are this way because I'm reacting. This is the animal. Let's keep the rational working, And I don't know. Yeah, Laura messed up a lot, but I think I have a very tragic life in many ways, with my boy, with William, and a very fortunate life in many other ways. So I don't regret absolutely anything.
good, and you shouldn't. I mean, you're here today. You're still creating. You're still doing a lot more than most do, and you're giving something back. I think through your artwork, through your storytelling to the world. So be easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself. See, so you began in the business as a very young girl, and you grew into a young woman, and then a woman up on the silver screen. Like, did it give you um, any confidence as a young woman? What was your experience like growing up in the business?
Well, I think that, it's very risky. It's taking a very big risk. You're constantly on the verge of collapsing, which is, and you're pretty, when you're younger, you're pretty much going against traffic. You're a kamikaze, but that means being an artist, right? So I'm used to it. And I kind of handle it in a way that, oh, okay, ooh, but let's keep going, I try not to go against traffic that much, but maybe it's stronger than me.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm very curious about what's going on, and I want to do. I'm going to direct another film. Next year is another little film that I want to direct, because I directed once, and I said, I was very scared of directing because I never direct before. But actors, we know more than we think we know. When you're in
Mhm.
set and you see everybody around you, you're absolutely in control. Your sensibility is very, everything. The technical part, the sound
Right.
part, the camera part. You control a lot. So I knew more than I thought. And I don't know the film if it's good or not because I don't. But music helped me a lot. Music and having scoring my own film, music is so important in life. I don't think film will exist without music, honestly. And so now getting into this new adventure in this new film, I don't have a title yet. Um, it's exciting. I'm always, I always have something new to do or a new project or new something.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna write these memoirs, and also I want to publish these little diaries that I wrote a long time ago in poetic prose. I don't know if you heard about author, French author. His name is Boris Vian. He who was a lot of fun, reading him. He wrote in poetic prose, and I love writing. Writing is for me. I mean, writing scripts is good. I wrote a lot and I read a lot, and I love writing. It's kind of my liberating,
Mhm.
energy. I go there and I relax. It's my drug. But actually, I think I should have been probably published more novels and books and poetry and fun.
It's
Writing,
not
I
too
think,
late.
it's not too late. No,
Not too
I
late.
still do
Keep doing it. Well, so you mentioned this, you sort of alluded to this because of many of the film roles that you chose, the media and writers would consider you to be a mysterious and dark and complex actress, is how they described you. Do you think that characterization of you was accurate?
it. Um, Maybe I was, maybe, I don't know. I hate when they say I was the muse of these wonderful artists during La Movida. It was a very important cultural movement in Spain back in the day. I don't like to be boxed anywhere, but I was lucky enough to just get, everybody and everybody would, is wonderful and talented. You go, no, I was lucky enough that they just got in the middle of the road, of my road, and I met them and we feed each other from things. So answering your question, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't care.
Do
People
you?
characterize me as mysterious, whatever. People say things. People judge and say
Yeah,
things about the
they
actress
gotta say
thing.
something, right? Do you feel like you chose dark roles though? Looking back, were you
Maybe,
attracted to dark
maybe,
roles?
maybe, maybe unconsciously I was very shy, and I didn't. I don't know. I think I was mysterious in a way of protecting myself, my family, and actors in the family like Marisa Paredes, who passed away last year. I mean, a year ago now. We didn't believe, we were like, our let's say that in the part of the actors in the family or friends of the family or people that were like very close to us were people kind of De Niro's or Meryl Streeps that never came out in magazines or people's magazines. So I didn't like red carpets. I didn't believe in doing interviews. I think people have to recognize my career for my work and not my,
Mm.
not going out in magazines and selling my divorces or marriages or my son's birth. So I have that discipline, or I believe that was very the important thing, to do. Like, and I belong to that kind of family that I think is a good thing. So maybe my mysterious part come from that. I don't
Mm.
know, an added thing. I'm just, but in the mysterious roles, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who put that thing. There was a director who told me once that my ego was machacado. I don't know how to say that in English. That my ego was destroyed. I was doing I was just rehearsing something for a movie, and he said that to me. And when people say something to you and it gets into your
Yeah.
brain very deep, that my ego was messed up, and that was
Uh,
what I was hiding always with my hair in my face and everything. And so why did he said that to me? So maybe my ego was a little bit hurt. I don't know, or I don't know. I have no
it's
idea why.
terrible. It's so terrible when people say something. It's the most random person that didn't matter to you that says the most random thing, but you remember it forever. Isn't that
Right?
Yeah, it's like one or two. I've got a couple like that as well. The kid
right?
told me once I walked like a duck. I've never, I've never
Oh
been
my
able
God, they told me that too, Jeremiah.
to. And I've always, I look at how I'm like, I always remember it. I'm like, but thanks for putting that in my head because I don't walk like it. What do you think, like at this point, if you're looking back at all your characters that you've played and the roles that you've played, to you, what is the most important role that you've played so far in a film? Your favorite
Gosh, this,
character?
this question, I'm gonna offend probably a few film directors, but I think that I work twice with a very talented, very sensitive film director. His name is Jaime Chavarri. So I played two roles with him. I lead co-production with France, and I lead another film in Spain. And I think it was the most wonderful, or when I felt more comfortable in front of the camera, and I connected him. And I worked with another director, Julio Medem, who you probably know. He did Sex and Lucia. I think it came
Hmm.
out the movie here, Sex and Lucia, and it's another fascinating film director that I remember, like it was kind of an amazing ride. I was lucky. I worked with when you I mean I was lucky to work with, I have to say, wonderful film directors. But I played a French woman twice, and I don't know. I don't have a favorite role, honestly. I,
So
I don't have.
you liked for you it was more the connection with the director that you had that
Yes.
you liked those roles that you were in, but nobody that you thought this is an important work of art that's going to define me forever.
Well, playing the aristocrat, because I'm actually a countess, I mean, I don't believe in any titles or anything like that, but I've been, my dad was an aristocrat, well, apparently. He was a crazy artist, but an aristocrat. So playing an aristocrat or period piece, when you got the corset and the
Hmm.
thing and standing up, because I've always been called a duck my whole life. So I always, you know, walk with my back down. I'm tall, and so being stand up and actually feeling with the period piece that actually they weight a lot. I felt very comfortable playing those roles. Yeah,
Probably a lot of fun as well. So,
yeah.
La Movida Madrileña, a major cultural and artistic movement that emerged in Madrid in the late 1970s and the early 1980s, marked Spain's sudden cultural awakening after decades of censorship and repression, with the death of the dictator, as you described earlier, and it celebrated
Mm-hmm.
self expression, gender fluidity, irreverence, and emotional honesty across various art forms, including film, music, fashion, photography, nightlife, literature, and performance. And artists embraced bold, provocative ideas simply because they could now. And for many artists, including Laura, being part of this movement meant coming of age creatively at a time when art felt urgent and personal and politically meaningful. So you came of age during Lena, excuse me, when everything felt wide open and rules were being rewritten. What rules did you want to rewrite at that time, Laura?
Well, we did. It was a very transgressive. That's the word. The word transgressive.
Hmm.
Time. And again, I don't want to be boxed. Now we're like icons, right? They consider us kind of icons of La Movida. We were like, it was a mix of music, film, writers, painters, all mixing together, and it was the revolution of freedom. Finally, we were free, and we were very wild. And the bad part about that La Movida was drugs. Thank God, I'm very sensitive to drugs. I've never took a pill in my life, or antidepressant or drugs. Of course, I tried everything, as everybody back in the generation when you were younger. But there's a lot of people, that are not here anymore because of La Movida. There was a lot of heroin in the streets. There was a lot of rock and roll. There was a lot of craziness. But as a result of that, there's a wonderful people that came out of it, and I was with Giuseppe, who was an amazing artist for years, and then I met Jorge from Ilegales, who just passed away, and it was a great movement. But why would I? Sorry, your question was why would I have done it during La Movida?
Yeah, what
different.
like were there rules that you were trying to rewrite as an artist, or um, how did that period fuel your artistic freedom? And how old were you at that time?
I was born in 1961. I just confessed my age. So, so I was in the 80s, right? It was early 80s. Um, yeah, I was right there in the middle of that. I was part of the political transition of the democracy in Spain. Franco died. I was 13, and everything exploded, right?
Mm,
And I exploded in music. In It defines you like, I mean, I'm gonna curse. I'm gonna just use a foul mouth. It was just, we're done. This is it. We are the generation that's gonna change this country, and we're gonna change it. So I was saying before, we're going against traffic. We're kamikaze, So it was a sense of freedom and explosion of freedom of art, of everything. Everything was okay and valid, except of course hurting other people. But
mhm.
the drugs part was very tough, and a lot of people, as I said, passed away from that, and I lost many friends. But it was a sensation basically of freedom, being able
Mm.
to work with Giuseppe, who was an amazing artist, a painter, directing me in Delirios de Amor, or work with a musician who was producing this amazing TV show with this incredible director, actors. It was a mix of everything, but very wonderful. You see it right now, those films, and you feel like, oh my God. But something I missed, I should have been a rock and roller. I wanted to be on stage and do music.
I
That's the
can
only thing
see
I
that.
regret.
It's never too
Yeah.
late. Never too late.
Well,
I can see that. I can see that about you. Um,
yeah.
can you sing?
I, well, yeah, I can sing.
But
I would have been, I
you'd
would,
be a musician.
huh?
You were,
I wanted to be up on that stage and just singing and just shouting it off live. And I love theater. As an actor, I love theater, but I think in music and rock and roll, I think in my next life, I'm going to be in Janis Joplin, or maybe Maria Callas, or
I think
maybe
you
the
should do it in
violin.
this life. I think you should do it
Huh?
right now.
Yeah, it would be fun, right, to be on stage and play. But I don't know
Yeah.
if I play electric guitar enough. I can play guitar. I can play piano, keyboards. I can play a little violin, and I can sing. You know, and I can compose some music and compose music, and I did compose stuff and everything. But I think that's the ultimate freedom that I missed, that I could have done, and I didn't do it.
Well, like I'm going to keep repeating myself. Do it now. I'll support
Thank
it. As an artist at that time, did you leave your mark in any way? What did you contribute to that era? Do you think? Okay, or can you remember? Were there too much fun to be had?
No, I really don't know. I mean, I have to read some interviews and some, I feel that um, it, we did what we did, and what I contribute probably was like, not to people not to give up and keep going. And I don't know if people recognize my contribution or not, which I don't care. I don't believe much in awards. I don't believe much in all that stuff. I believe in just doing the job, right, and working. And I have a very strong discipline in what I do. I say I'm going to do something, I start it and I finish it. And
Mhm.
back in the day, that's what I did as well. And I protect art, I protect artists, I protect my friends, that I believe in them, and I think they did the same to me, right? So I think Pedro Almodovar is one of the amazing contributions of that moment, right? And Giuseppe, as an artist, is an amazing painter, and I'm preserving his art, which I have a lot of it here in Los Angeles, actually. And I'm now donating to the La Movida Museum. When I passed away, I want them to have all his art in the museum, not at my home here. And in music, I don't know. I help my friends. I help Jorge Ilegales to keep going, and he helped me. So it was a good time, and still is a good time. And I came here and I met also wonderful people. I met Bert Schneider, who was the guy who produced Monkeys, who got an Oscar for Hearts and Minds, and I'm so lucky, and he's gone. So a lot of people are dying, which is not a good thing. And but we're getting older, right, Jeremiah? And I don't know. I hope I contribute enough, and I hope I keep contributing not only to the arts but to the world.
How do you see the role of an artist today? Back then, it was probably different. How do you see the role? What you do is so important as an artist, and I think what artists bring is so much. But at this time of our life, at this time in the period that we're in, the artist to me is even more important. How do you see the role of an artist, Laura?
When I think culture is the only thing that is going to save the world. If you see a little kid, imagination, imagining things. If you see a little kid doing something, they're imagining things, they're doing something new, they're creating something. When you're creating, you always are giving. You're giving something to the world, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
not hurting anybody. So I don't know what happened to us as a human race that we stopped creating and we got in that box. And I believe that I'm very Socratic with this thing. What I'm going to say is like, I think if you don't create, I will advise people to at least read or know your own history, know where you're coming from, to know where you're going forward. Right? There's so many things to discover, and the more knowledge you have, the more free you are, the freer you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the ultimate liberation. you know it's, if you cannot create, if you cannot or you don't want to create, at least read, watch
Mm-hmm.
movies, go to a museum, go to the Philharmonic, go listen to Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, the opera. Feed yourself with culture, with art, right? And that's what I do. Either I do it or I feed myself through it, and that only can contribute good things to the world. That's the only thing I can say, right?
Yeah, you
So
are so diverse in your interests and in your talents. You wrote a best-selling book in the 90s with your novel was Yes, Father, No Father, a radical critique of parental education, which, like I said, became a bestseller and translated into multiple languages. What was your message writing that book? What was your intent?
um well, I mean, the publisher, I remember I made a lot of money with that. It was translated. Yeah. My intention
That's
was actually
honest.
to convince my mom that I was not an idiot, that I could actually write, basically, and to give some advice to younger people, that to survive the parents and to learn to be free and to learn to be your own person, right? And people critics said that I was kind of a young Mark Twain. I don't believe in any of that. I just had a lot of fun writing it, and but my intention was probably to survive my parents. Yes, my own parents. And the publishing company was saying this is too autobiographical. They go, no, I made the beauty about writing stories that are personal, right? Is that you can actually create a fiction out of them. So you're writing. I cannot write anything that is not personal, or it means something to me, right? So when I write Farewell, for example, the short, it was a personal story about domestic violence and LGBTQ and everything. It was a beautiful story of survival, but I made up a lot of things. But with Just Father No Father, Surviving Guide for Desperate Child, there was a there was a book that actually made me feel liberated. I needed to spit it out, and I'm hopefully help a lot of people. But a lot of parents insult me in radios when I was promoting the book, saying my son is leaving the house. You're the worst.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, you're an
So,
amazing writer. So you got the Spain's ICAA Ministerio de Cultura awarded to you for your first screenplay, Panfilas. And I'm
Pamphila.
so sorry that I butcher Spanish so horribly. I'm
No, no,
embarrassed.
you're doing good. You're
But
doing good.
okay. So congratulations on that. You're just a great writer. Uh, I wanted to talk a little bit because the clock is going down here quickly. Um, so then you moved to LA like 1990 in the 1990s, right? 1995, if I've got it right. What was your catalyst for your move to LA?
Well, my son William was diagnosed with 1 year old. I was
Mm-hmm.
24, I think, and then they were treating him in France. And because Spain gave him 1 year to live, unfortunately, he had a brain tumor, my boy William. And And a French doctor, I mean, there was a moment that there was nothing more he could do for him, so he recommended a few doctors, one in Canada, one in Los Angeles, and there was another clinic in Sweden, the Karolinska clinic in Sweden. But then this doctor, Dr. Macomb, Professor Macomb at Children's Hospital, I made a trip here because he was somebody that they were colleagues, and he thought it could help with my son. So I had an appointment with him here, and an appointment with Dr. Cooper that he just did a surgery with Elizabeth Taylor back in the day. So, and it was actually once I came here with him, everything was breathing again. You know, we I felt that I bought him sometime. He loved it here. He was 8 years old when he came, so I moved for him. I moved for William, my son,
And
who.
during that time, so that's a pretty big catalyst for a move. Um, was LA welcoming, or was it hard during those years because you're dealing with such a heavy
Well,
thing?
it's very tough. You know, I had a little savings, a little tiny money, and I mean, William got a lot of help here, thank God. You know, because he was you know, a terminal, what they consider a terminal ill boy, with a brain tumor, and well, I had to start all over again. So from being the big muse and star of the cinema and the mysterious
Mhm.
actress, I started working. I had three jobs because I had an accent. I couldn't work in film here. I was nobody would hire somebody like me. So I started doing something that I never thought I would do. That is dubbing. So I became an expert in dubbing films, and I started working for Playboy, dubbing films for Playboy. I and then I worked doing a TV show. I had three jobs. I remember that, and because I was a single parent, I had no much money from William's father, unfortunately, and I had another job doing a daily TV show. It was called Our Perspective, Nuestras Perspectivas. It was in Spanish, and I could still voice my, you know, I was hosting that show. It was a lot of fun, and then I was working for my manager, and and but no, my career was practically over. I could not commit to anything that was more than staying in the labor and close to home and close to the hospital, you know, with him. So
Right. Three jobs and he's ill and you need to spend time with him. That's really tough. Well, you work very hard and you got to spend 22 years with your son. Um, what did you discover about William by spending that time with him? What made him so beautiful and unique?
well, William was a warrior. You know, when you have a family member diagnosed with cancer, the people disappear, the world disappear, the hours in the hospital go very slow. He had 19 brain surgeries in his 22
Mm,
years, plus other surgeries, plus chemotherapies, plus radiotherapies, plus all these things. But we were like two warriors, you know, really, really working very, very hard. And we don't think about tomorrow, we think about the present. And he was a very happy boy until the last minute of his life. He was singing and laughing
mm,
and being happy and understanding that life, you know, you have to accept if it's a possible death. You have to be the courage to say, okay, if this doesn't work, doesn't work. But now we're happy and we're very present. But it was a very lonely journey. And I have my daughter as well, Lola, who I'm sure it was not easy for her either, but she was very young. You know, there were 10-year difference, both kids. And but I wrote a movie about him. It was called Upon a Time. It's a story inside a story about his last 24 hours of life. And it's a love story between two 14-year-old kids. And my son could not, the last 2 years were very hard. He could not see, and he had a tracheotomy, so he could not do anything except being, you know, in a bed. You know, he could not move his hands. It was very difficult because I used to tell him stories and play him music, right? So the movie's about that I wrote. So it was like we're constantly imagining things.
mhm,
It was I dedicate. You know, it was like cancer can kill everything except your imagination. You know, you can imagine and I used to tell him stories. He falls in love. He goes places. And I remember leaving the hospital every day and saying, William, what do you want, music or story? So
mhm.
is it music or story or what do you want today? So till that, so it was, and he was a very brave boy. He was a very brave boy, and he had the and he teach me that he was not scared. Kids are not scared of, they don't intellectualize illness the way we do, as adults. And yeah.
He sounds like a really, really wonderful person. Thank you for describing him to me.
Yeah.
And the movie, are you still writing Upon a Time, or
It's
have you
done.
finished?
The script's finished. I did 15 versions of it, and it's ready right now. But there's two. We're thinking about doing the film, having animation, having reality,
Hmm.
because it's a fantasy. It's like a story the mother is telling to the kid, a 14-year-old. He falls in love with a girl, but at the end, everything you're seeing in the film is not real. It's just mother telling him a story in the hospital for his last few hours, and it's very touching and very emotional, but
Yeah,
it's very it's a lot of fun. It's this crazy mother, all these adventures they go, and he falls in love with this beautiful girl. And now these producers, they're very interested in going for it. So it's very personal. This story is very personal
yeah,
to me.
yeah.
It's hard.
Beautiful story. A very beautiful story. And is
Thank
that
you.
how you keep him alive? Are there other ways that you keep his spirit? And that, I guess, he probably also helps you. He gives you that courage that he had, that you learned from him, to keep going, to keep
He
fighting
was
the
so
battle.
brave. He was such an amazing kid. He was so brave, so fun, and so smart. He loved music. He was an amazing musician. He had this talent for music, and I always and I thought, okay, he dies, and you have to move on. You go, no, I have to. I want to make him a movie that
To
preserves his
keep
memory.
him alive.
My dad. I want to dedicate it to him. Because he deserves it. He's a big.
Do you have any of his recording? Did he ever record anything as a musician, or did you ever tape
Yeah.
him? I'd
Well, a
love to.
karaoke. I have a karaoke from him.
Oh,
He was very, very handsome boy, and
yeah,
very talented and very funny, and it's just something that we need to learn, and in life, that adults we don't learn. When you see kids in the hospital and they just have a surgery, heart surgery, they don't intellectualize that. They just keep going, right? But people, they're very scared about death, children, and all that stuff. But when you spend so many years in the hospital, you see things very differently,
yeah,
and children are amazing that way. This is
yeah,
something we should study in school. Like death is okay, illness are okay. This is part of life. Death and life is part of the same thing. We're all gonna die no matter what. you know
yeah. I
so
was going to ask you, what your thoughts on life now are, if they've changed at all from that experience, and then also your perspective on death. But you may have just answered that.
um I'm not scared of dying. I mean, I was very depressed, I guess, for some time. I was very down. We lost a very big battle. And when you lose, it's like being a soldier. My therapist told me it's like when you go to the PTSD that a soldier, when you're fighting, 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 your stakes are very high, and then you lose that battle, and like I know what, your body resents that, physiologically resents that, right?
Hmm.
But I was tired, and I said, "Are you depressed?" They go, "You're depressed." They go, "I'm not depressed. I'm just exhausted." It's been 22 years. I mean, 21 years since it was diagnosed till right now, and you feel like a soldier that you're tired, you know.
And how
But
did you pick yourself back up? What helped you?
probably my daughter having another kid that needs me,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I haven't been in a good place last year, I have to say, but I'm back.
You're back. You're back. I like that. I love that. And you're back. You were. I wanted to. We have to say goodbye here, but I wanted to talk about English teacher. I really want to direct everybody to see that. It's hilarious. You're really proud of it. It's FX network, but Hulu and Disney. It has. I saw right now. I think you said it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just unheard of. Uh, and it's really great. I want to encourage everybody to go see it. Um, can we bring it back? Can we start a rally here on the show and get people to
I
bring
think
it
I
back?
think we should absolutely start a rally, because I don't understand what happened with English teacher. I don't know what happened with FX networks. They haven't explained what happened with it. there was some sort of they're talking about allegation with Brian. Brian is an extremely talented creator. I mean, and to wanted to just stop that. Apparently, there's some guy or some coworker, something happened. They were girl boyfriend, whatever. I mean, but I think there's a lot of haters, and I think somebody took the opportunity to put this show down
Oh,
because it was a bit politically incorrect. But I think it's a comedy that touches both sides, of the spectrum
right.
and it is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant comedy,
And we've
and the
got to
best
laugh
comedy.
at, we've got to be able to laugh at each other, at some of our silliness sometimes, and also treat it with respect and treat people with respect. But I know what you mean about the show. But again, we've got to take life less seriously sometimes and just be able to laugh and be able to enjoy that laughter. Um, Laura Bayonas is also involved in the production of two feature length films that she wrote: Two Hearts, an adapted version of the short film Dos Corazones, and Upon a Time, um, a biopic
I work
about,
so hard. I
yeah,
work a lot.
you do work a lot. And that's scheduled hopefully for 2025, 2026. I hope that you find a production company to make that film. It just sounds beautiful. And I'd
Mhm.
love to see it. I'd love if that film was made, please come back and let's talk about it some more. Um, the soundtrack today was provided by Laura, and it's just great. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. One of your friends you mentioned, Jorge Maria Martinez
Martinez.
Garcia,
Martinez.
yeah, Garcia, he was born in 1955, May 1st, and he passed away this December 2025. He's better known as Jorge Illegal. He was a Spanish musician, composer, and singer, and we're playing his song here on the show. You're also involved, just before I let you go, Laura, in a lot of great causes: Doctors Without Borders, Refugees, Save the Children, UNICEF, Amnesty International, and is it the Pansy Foundation, the
Yeah,
Congo
Pansy
Republic?
Foundation.
Yeah,
Pansy Foundation is a very important, the people they have created an amazing film is called Muganga, that hopefully it comes here. But Pansy Foundation is a foundation for the doctors who takes care of women that they're raped in Republic of Congo, fighting for this wonderful mineral. I think its name is lithium or cope, something like that. And but anyway, the Pansy Foundation, heals. They in Republic of Congo and Rwanda, with the conflict in the last 20 years, they have died approximately like 6 million people already, mostly women and children. And the way that these soldiers, they have to punish civilians is by raping women with a baton in their rear in front of the kids, and they kill the kids. And these doctors are doing an amazing job. He got a Nobel Prize award, this doctor, for actually creating this foundation. But the women that are left alive, healing them, their bodies, and I wish people that can donate to Pansy Foundation, and what they're doing, it's unbelievable.
pansyfoundation.org is where you can find more. Yeah, the women receive care, as you said, through the Pansy model, a four-pillar holistic care approach, compromising of medical, psychological, psychosocial, legal, and socioeconomic support. And they ensure that every survivor receives a comprehensive care tailored to their unique needs. Very important foundation, ponzifoundation.org. You're also a big advocate for domestic violence victims and the LGBTQ community. You can find Laura Bayonas on Instagram. I'm going to spell her name for you: LauraBayonas on Instagram. Laura, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. And thank you for sharing with us a little bit of your life. It's a fascinating life, and you keep you keep amazing and doing new things. And we want to thank you for what you contribute in your art. thank you, everybody, for listening to the Jeremiah Show today. It airs Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Radio Evolve Rocks in Santa Barbara, California. We're also on Garden Radio now, so spin the globe and find us. Thanks to everybody listening in Paris, London, New York, all over the world. We appreciate you. Tune in, listen more, and evolve. And Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah, for having me. And the Jeremiah Show is a total honor, I have to say. And I really expect you come next year to our Thanksgiving dinner.
I'll bring the rolls and some good wine, maybe. All right, Laura. Thank you so much, Laura Bayonas. And again, you can find her on Instagram at Laura Bayonas. Communicate, but listen more and evolve. Have a great week, everybody.